Next on Worcester News Tonight, a university employee off the job and under arrest for making violent threats, what authorities say she may have been planning to do on campus. Plus, the Italian Festival begins in Worcester, one event drawing thousands to the city this week. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Andy Madison. We begin tonight at WPI, where a food services worker accused of making violent threats against the school has been banned from campus and arrested. In a statement to Worcester News Tonight, the university's chief of police says the incident happened last week and is being investigated by the Worcester Police Department in collaboration with campus police. The Telegram identifies the worker as 23-year-old Heather Lyons and reports she's been ordered to undergo a mental health evaluation. WPI's statement goes on to say, quote, "At the time that we received the information, the individual was being held in a secure environment. She is now in police custody and has been banned from the WPI campus." To Dudley, where federal prosecutors are opening an investigation into the town's decision to reject plans for a Muslim cemetery. As our Alicia Palumbo reports, prosecutors are looking at whether the town violated civil rights laws.
As if Dudley is being tried and convicted without any due process.
Residents of Dudley, Massachusetts are frustrated that a battle over whether this farmland can be turned into an Islamic cemetery is now being investigated by the U.S. Attorney as a possible civil rights violation.
We're not trying to block anybody. We're just trying to execute our rights.
Earlier this year, the Islamic Society of Greater Worcester signed an agreement to buy the 55-acre property, but the town rejected the group's proposal to change the zoning from agricultural and began exploring purchasing the property itself.
The town has a 120-day right of first refusal to potentially acquire the property.
But the attorney for the Islamic Society argues the town's motives have nothing to do with preserving agricultural property.
The treatment of the Islamic Society of Greater Worcester's efforts to build a cemetery have run into improper and unlawful discrimination.
It's a suggestion selectmen and residents don't take lightly.
This has absolutely nothing to do with race. The town of Dudley is not a racist community.
We don't care what kind of cemetery is. We don't want one there.
In fact, some residents have voiced their concerns about well water contamination for dozens of nearby homes.
When they dug the test pits, there was literally water 18 inches below grade. So how can you dig 4 feet below?
There is absolutely no danger to the water table, and really logic dictates that the notion of people burying their dead is not new.
There is also a lawsuit concerning this issue filed in land court. Attorneys from both sides have already been meeting to try to resolve this outside of court. In the meantime, town officials tell me they will cooperate fully with the U.S. Attorney's investigation. In Dudley, Massachusetts, Alicia Palumbo, Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester's Italian Festival kicks off tonight. The annual tradition boasts culture, music, and food. And this year, organizers are hoping to raise money to help save their beloved church. Our Cam Dandro looks at those efforts, as well as the festival's sights, sounds, and tastes.
The Italian Festival of Worcester makes its return to the city. Festivities kicked off Thursday at Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Thousands are expected to attend over the weekend. Attendees of the festival say this celebration is unlike any other.
Italian Festival is a celebration of our heritage, just everybody getting together, supporting the church, supporting the community, and everything that our families have worked for and everything we stand for.
I'm here to support the Italians. I'm here to get some good food and hang out with family and friends and just have a good time.
One of the most popular aspects of the festival, of course, the food. 22 local Italian eateries are expected to showcase signature dishes and embrace their Italian heritage. Anthony DeLovo says eating at the festival is an opportunity you can't pass up.
I mean, anywhere from Boston to Worcester, Shrewsbury Street, Restaurant Row, there's just every vendor you can think of here offering fried calamari, fried dough, macaroni, meatballs. I mean, anything you could imagine in the Italian cuisine is here to offer.
There's live entertainment from several central Massachusetts artists, fireworks, and a bocce tournament. The festival promises to be a good time, but this year has a serious mission. Proceeds from the festival go towards rescuing Our Lady of Mount Carmel. The church closed earlier this year because of structural safety concerns.
And we heard that recently Mount Carmel's suffering. Also, we want to support them.
And I guess it's a really special part of Worcester, and it's really good and it's really awesome that they're trying to help fix it.
Now, the Italian Festival runs until Sunday afternoon. Both Friday and Saturday nights, doors are open until midnight. Vendors we spoke with say whether or not you're Italian, come down and enjoy the good food. Reporting from the Italian Festival in Worcester, I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
Oh, that looks delicious there. As Cam said, Friday and Saturday, hopefully the weather will cooperate. Well, another event that is bringing a lot of people to Worcester, some of the country's best rowers, are taking on Lake Quinsigamond this week in the U.S. Rowing Masters National Championships. Today begins 4 days of competition in Worcester. More than 2,000 rowers are competing for national titles in 202 categories. Yes, 202 categories. This year's field is the largest in the championship's history.
It's pretty incredible. It's nice to see athletes really from across the country come together and compete in one location, and it really gives you a chance to see how your club pairs up to other people nationally.
The competitions take place throughout the day on Lake Quinsigamond, and the event wraps up on Sunday. New technology creating a possible breakthrough in the state's fight against the opioid epidemic, and it's being used at UMass Medical School. Our Olivia Lemon reports.
Doctors at UMass Medical School in Worcester say a wristband worn by patients could help potentially end the opioid epidemic.
Could we maybe find a way to predict how patients would be tolerant to opioids and maybe predict which one of these patients you give opioids to tend to have worsening tolerance or potentially even addiction?
Dr. Peter Chai says sensors on the band recognize body temperatures and movements associated with drug use. These movements are then downloaded to a smartphone application.
In a patient who is a recovering opioid user who is in a substance abuse treatment center, we can figure out when they're going to start craving drug, and we can prevent that craving by delivering an intervention in real time at that spot.
He says the hope of this technology is to recognize patterns of drug use leading to addiction and overdoses. Dr. Chai and Dr. Edward Boyer are part of a team also working on a new pill detecting how much and how often patients take pain medication. Inside the digital pill capsule is the medication and a small flexible chip.
That chip activates when it hits your stomach and dissolves. The stomach acid activates a small battery, which turns on a radio transmitter, which sends a unique signal to your smartphone.
Dr. Boyer says the hope is to treat pain efficiently and prevent addiction effectively.
Dependence, misuse, and abuse are, I don't think it's a secret to anybody. It's a huge problem in the United States right now.
And that was Olivia Lemon reporting. Now, also in healthcare news, we're getting our first look at new technology being used in operating rooms. UMass Memorial Medical Center is the first hospital in the country using new bone imaging technology. Our Brittany Schaefer shows us how it works.
We're really excited here at UMass Memorial Medical Center to be the first ones in the United States to have this new technology.
Doctors at UMass Memorial Medical Center are working with this new mini C-arm. They say this smaller version will make many surgeries easier.
It's a smaller footprint, lighter, easier to use, lower radiation system that gives us very high resolution images of the bones while we're working.
Easy workflow will allow the surgeon to have a quicker procedure, better imaging during the procedure.
The mini C-arm is used for many broken bone surgeries along with joint fusions.
Extremity surgery, so hand, wrist, forearm, foot and ankle, we would use this for fractures or broken bones that need to be fixed, joint fusions. As a bone tumor specialist, if there was a tumor in one of the bones of the hands or feet.
UMass Memorial Medical Center's Dr. Matthew Most says the older C-arm machine was much heavier and would tend to drift while taking photos.
There's an electronic lock that locks all the joints so it stays in place where you want it, which is a huge time saver. Half the time we were fight with the old machine.
Most says this $80,000 piece of equipment will be used daily.
Between the hand surgeries, foot and ankle surgeries, it'll probably be used just about every day, probably multiple times a day.
Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
Well, it's another sign summer is almost over. Tomorrow is the last day of Recreation Worcester. Today, City Manager Ed Augustus visited a few parks in Worcester to join in on the fun. Recreation Worcester gives kids a free summer camp-like experience. The city manager considers this year's 8-week program a success due to the rise in participation and expansion to new locations.
And kids from every background, from every different kind of part of the city really took advantage of this, and they had a fun summer, they had a safe summer, they got exposed to arts and crafts and police department and fire department, the bookmobile.
About 11–12% growth from last summer, which is awesome in registrations. Our average numbers were about 7–8 kids per park more than last year, so that means the demand is still there and people are still wanting to come.
The city has decided to do a similar program during the school year. It will begin sometime in the fall. The school in Worcester has a new member of the class, and the furry friend is working to comfort students with autism. Rosalind Flaherty spent time at the Summit Academy today and has the story.
Meet Ruby.
Good girl, lay down.
An 11-month-old golden retriever who spends her days in the classroom as an assistance dog in training at Summit Academy in Worcester.
She typically greets the kids as they come in the morning and at the end of the day says goodbye, and we do kind of make the rounds a couple times during the day.
Summit Academy is a therapeutic alternative school for students with high-functioning autism. Ruby is there to comfort students.
Really is just very simple work that she's here to do. She's just here to add to the therapeutic environment and, provide an opportunity for the kids to interact with her.
Program Director Amanda Panikian says the idea for a therapy dog started when students got involved in a fundraiser called Pennies for Puppies. Children collected change to support the North Star Foundation, a program where dogs are placed in a family of a child with autism.
The more involved we got with the organization, the more we realized this could be an opportunity for our school to explore bringing a dog into our environment.
Panikian says students achieving goals throughout the day earn a Ruby break, where they sit and relax with her before returning to their work.
If you're having a hard day, she can help you out. Whenever I'm having a rough time, I always come to her.
Teachers in the school say utilizing Ruby is a great strategy for students.
Petting her, talking to her, she's a very safe place and a safe spot for them to go to.
Ruby is still in training. The program director says the more she progresses in her training, the more they'll be able to integrate her into the student environment. Rosalind Flaherty,